Hey y'all, hey, happy Saturday. My name is Kara. I'm one of the co-founders of Wite Collar. We are an online skills building platform that matches people for mentorship, where one-on-one mentorship can occur. Um, so these are just some thoughts I've been having. Um, if you don't know, yes, I am the founder of Wite Collar, one of the co-founders of Wite Collar, but I started my journey as a author, and now I'm a coach in publishing, and coach slash mentor. I'm kind of more of a mentor, but I call myself a coach because I'm a little bit more my services per se um, mirror mentorship more than coaching. But anyhow, I've been doing the coaching for maybe about 3 years, and I've learned a lot along the way um, when it comes to how to care for my students as well, or my mentees, as well as how to protect myself, right? As I journey as I have switched roles from being an author to more so of a coach in self-publishing. And there's some things that kind of came up for me today as I was talking with a prospective student who was interested in my self-publishing coaching services, and just the ways in which coaches, mentors, advisors, consultants, whatever you want to call us, how we hold space, not just for the people that we serve, but how we also hold space for ourselves, right? We have to protect ourselves, our energy, our bandwidth, in terms of how we uh, show up for our students. Um, so, and how we show up for ourselves. And one thing, and just so you guys know, this is not going to be a long video. I have some stuff I got to do. I always do more of a 15-minute spot. So this is going to be our 15-minute spot for the day, right? Thoughts of the day. Um, sorry, you're going to hear my kids in the background. Hold on one second. CJ, can you? Let me put my Bluetooth speaker on so you guys don't hear all that noise in the background. My kids just got up. Um, so in terms of how we protect ourselves, because we have to protect our energy as coaches and mentors. We're pouring so much into these students of ours that it can become very draining, right? Holding that space for them, teaching them, journeying with them as they learn a new skill set that you have mastered. One thing I will say is um, when I am approaching working with a student, having that first initial call, I set expectations very early on about, by asking questions to gauge whether or not that student is a good fit for me. So I'm already starting, just because someone's interested in you does not mean they're a good fit for you. And a bad fit can drain the hell out of you. Like a bad fit can make you not even want to continue the business of helping others, right? As a coach or as a mentor. So I asked some questions to see if they're a good fit for me, because the people I work with when it comes to self-publishing, mentorship slash coaching are folks that are ready to self-publish within the year, not people that are thinking about it, window shopping. They're ready to go. They're action oriented. They have the financial means to start this endeavor, because I don't want to waste my time doing a bunch of discovery calls for people to discover that they're not ready for this process. I want people that are committed, motivated, and ready to take on the endeavor of the service that I'm offering. So, what I will say is, don't just accept anyone when it comes to people that when it comes to your coaching services or your mentorship services, make sure that you vet them as much as they are vetting you. Um, that's a principle you can apply to anything, whether it's a prospective client, whether it's a prospective job. You want to make sure that that entity or that person is going to be a good fit for you. Because when it's a misalignment, when it's not a good fit, when it's a misfit, it can really cause things to go south very quickly. So I set up some questions that I ask those prospective students who are interested in self-publishing to see where their head is at before we even have the discovery call, because we may not have the discovery call, to be honest with you. If their answers are, I'm just thinking about it, I don't know, I'm not sure if this is going to be something I'm going to do, even though, yeah, it is to discover, right? The discovery call is to discover if the purpose is to discover if this is something you want to actually do, if this is a service you actually want to move forward with. But as a coach, as a mentor, you don't want to be spending so much time with people that are on the fence about your services. You want to make sure that it's not about if they want your service. It's more so about if you're the right fit for them when it comes to the service that you offer. So a lot of times people will book you because they're just thinking about whether or not they want they're still in the contemplation phase of if they want to have the service at all. And I mean, if you have the bandwidth to meet with those people, so be it. But if you're like, I want to meet with people who already are activated to use my service, but just want to make sure that I'm a good fit for what they're looking for, then that's how you screen. Screenings are very important. Screenings will have you not feeling like you're wasting your time and just meeting with people just to meet with people. And I think that that can reduce burnout very easily by having a set amount of questions that you ask people up front, and it could be something you incorporate into your website, or you could just send them the questions through email. They usually contact you through email. If you have a chat bot, set up your chat bot to ask them some questions. Not a lot of questions. It don't have to be a lot, just 3 questions, because people don't want to answer a whole big long survey. Just a couple of questions that people can answer that lets you know whether or not it's even worth having that discovery call and meeting with them, if that makes sense. So that's just some food for thought. First thing is first is making sure they're a good fit for you and what you can offer. Um, that's to me is the most important step that you need to take. Doesn't matter so much if they decide to get your service right away, but you know that when they do request your service, that it's going to be not just easy on them, but easy on you as well. Um, Once they are a good fit for your service and you start working with them as a coach or as a mentor, really setting those expectations of, whether in writing. I like writing. I like making things plain and simple in writing. So whether it's in writing, um, and also when you put it in writing, they can't come back and say, well, I didn't know that. I didn't know that I couldn't get that. Put it in writing somewhere on your website what the expectations are that they're going to get with services. Maybe having some packages that you offer, some tiered packages. If you want to do a contract, you can, but as long as it's in writing on your website, you're covered legally. Um, and then reiterating those expectations verbally about what to expect when they work with you. Um, I'm not an email girl. I don't like a bunch of emails back and forth. If you're going to be emailing me constantly throughout the day, this is not my only job. So if you're going to be emailing me constantly throughout the day, then and you have people that like to do that, I would say set the expectation that if they email you a certain amount of times, that's going to count as a session, as a live session. So by doing that, you're not, being called away from doing other things to respond to their every request, because they know there's a limitation about how many times that they can send you emails, or making the suggestion if you want to do more of a kitten gloves approach, white glove approach, suggesting to them that maybe you should have an in-person or virtual meeting to cover all the questions that they have. Mentees are going to take as much as you allow them to take. You have to set boundaries. If you're a people pleaser and you're in the coaching business or mentorship business, um, you're going to drain yourself and zap yourself pretty quickly, being everything to everyone. You can't do that. Okay. So, if you need some support in terms of changing your people pleasing ways, definitely get some coaching around that, or some counseling around that, because in the coaching mentorship business, you have to have boundaries. They're excited, their mentees are excited, they're anxious, they're hungry for information, but it's how you disseminate the information that protects yourself, right? Because um, you can't be you can't be pulled in so many different directions, especially if they're not just your only mentee. If you have several mentees and several students, it's important to set boundaries. Now, you're going to have some students that are going to be more needier than others, and you'll ascertain that very quickly who those people are, and you may have to set firmer boundaries with them, right? Because you won't be able to show up and do the work that you do if you're allowing yourself to be um, if you're allowing yourself to be too accessible to them, if that makes sense. So set some boundaries and some parameters. Let them know, like, how many sessions they're to expect. Um, and that's if you're coaching. Remember, coaching and mentorship is very different. So coaching, you set up a set expectation of how many sessions they are to expect to get to whatever the goal is that they want, and they pay for those sessions. If you're mentoring, it's a little different. You are a little bit more overarching in what you offer, but you still have to have some boundaries behind that. You may not have a set amount of sessions. Your time may be when they're finished, when they feel like they're ready to move forward on their own. So you're with them for a longer period of time, perhaps, but you still have to have some boundaries behind what you can and cannot do in terms of your bandwidth. That's extremely important. That's what you call self care. Setting boundaries is self care. And if you want to be the best coach, the best mentor to the people that you show up for, you have to have boundaries. There's just no way around it. You would not be doing what you would be doing would not be ethical if you did not have some boundaries. And if you have to put those expectations in writing, please put those expectations in writing. I'm just checking the time. I have about 2 minutes. So making sure the person is a good fit for your business model, and making sure that you have some parameters about what you can and cannot do around your coaching and mentorship services. That's extremely important in terms of frequency. How frequently are you going to be able to meet with them? The ways in which you service them. Is it going to be virtually? Is it going to be in person? Is it going to be, if they are local, or is it going to be email? And if it is email, how many times can they email you before it counts as towards their sessions if you're coaching them? That's important. You want them to get their money's worth, but um you also want to make sure that you're not overextending yourself and giving them more of yourself than what they're paying for, right? Um so setting those expectations, make sure that you can um you don't want to overpromise and you don't want to underdeliver. You would rather, it's better to overdeliver and underpromise. Okay? So keep that in mind. So those are just some things that came up for me today, actually. It wasn't going to be, like I said, I was here for a time, not a long time. There may be a part two to this, but these are just some things to think about as a mentor or coach, because I equate mentorship and coaching in the same bucket, um, as other helping professions like counseling and different things of that matter. where you're showing up for people and you want to show up as your best self, and you can't show up as your best self if you're overwhelmed, stretched, overutilized. You want to be able to have a clear mind when you're showing up for people, and you can't do that if you're not setting realistic expectations with them and you're burnt out. So make sure you take care of yourself after your sessions. Get up, move around. Don't, um, give yourself some self care, until the next time that you meet with them. Make sure that you're not that you unplug from the because you're going to have um some pretty intense sessions with them, and then of course as a coach and mentor sometimes personal things start to bleed into your relationship. Again, set boundaries around that. Refer, um making sure that you are only doing things pertaining to what your services offer. You're not going outside of your scope is important as well. But that's that. Like I said, I might do a part two to this. I hope this was helpful. And take care and have a great rest of your weekend. Bye bye.